Take a look at this photo here. Yeah, that was me. I'll be taking you on a trip down memory lane, just letting you on a few secrets here and there that I used to lose 75 pounds in a matter of 6 months in the year 2017. I basically went all the way from about 245 to 250 pounds at my heaviest to about 175 pounds. Losing weight completely changed the trajectory of my life and my health for the better. I'm going to let you guys in on how that happened. I've never taken the time to relive the entire experience until I decided to make this video. So, pardon me if I shed a little thug tear along the way. But as humans, it's quite easy for us to get, caught up and engulfed in the constant cycle of self-improvement and self-actualization, setting new goals and whatnot, that we often tend to forget to take the requisite time to reflect and be grateful for how far we've come, looking back from where we started from with regards to our individual goals, regardless of what the goals are: financial, physical, spiritual, emotional growth. So it's important to do that every once in a while. I grew up basically in a household where access to food was never an issue. My dad was a very hard worker. He always took pride in his ability to provide for his family, and he always worked super hard to ensure that we never lacked in that department. As far as food, as far as school, education, academics, all of that, he made sure that it was catered for. So interestingly enough, I was a pretty skinny kid growing up. I would say the weight started to creep up on me when I was about 9 or 10 years old. My mom would always save all the extras for her son, just to add a little meat to his bones, as they used to say. You know how mothers love their chubby kids. There's this whole stereotype of the chubbier your kid is, the healthier he is, which I think is a bit wrong, but yeah, it is what it is. So I got used to that treatment and would essentially eat whenever I was sad, whenever I was mad at somebody, whenever I was going through any kind of emotional strain. I would use food as a way of an emotional escape and as a means of dealing with my issues. I'll just eat my feelings, basically, as they call it. I would say I believe that was probably the biggest factor that caused my weight gain. So throughout junior high school, senior high school, and even my early university years, I was always that big guy. I was called Biggie, I was called Fatty, I was called Obolo, Oluftubo, and all of that. So many names, I can't even recollect all of them. And instead of actually finding a way to fix the problem, I would go back to eating to numb the pain. I used to snore horribly. Everyone at home would complain about how badly I snored in the night. I had puffy feet, bloated cheeks, and all of that. At my biggest, I was probably rocking like a size 49 to 50 inches on waist, like circumference. It was even hard at a certain point to actually just buy regular boxers to wear. So I had a tailor friend who would take my measurements and sew them for me and all of that. And I tried so many times to lose weight by myself, but eventually I'll just throw in the towel when it got difficult. Anytime it got remotely difficult, I'll just quit and then I'll just, So the change came by in 2016. When 2016 rolled by, I was at the university at this point, and I met a friend's brother who was heavily into fitness, and he gave me one single piece of advice. He was like, wake up early and leave the house and go for a walk. So that's how I started. So we would meet around 4 to 4:30 a.m. We'd do a bunch of walking, a bunch of running, a bunch of stair climbing, even before it's 6 a.m., before the sun came up. So would have done about an hour to an hour and a half of activity before the sun came up. So I saw a lot of drastic changes at the beginning. There was a lot of changes at the beginning. I basically stopped grazing throughout the day, snacking, and I also started doing something where I would push my breakfast to the late morning. So I'll typically have my breakfast between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. and then I would do whatever I have to do throughout the day. And then in the evening, I'll just have a fruit smoothie of some sort. And so I lost the first 45 pounds using this strategy. However, the deeper I got into the weight loss journey, the harder it became. But one thing I know about building positive momentum is that it becomes harder to stop the harder you get into it. The more momentum you build, the more it's difficult to break that momentum. It almost creates this addictive feeling in a certain sense. So I was basically determined to see the scale drop. So, anytime I hit a plateau of some sort or when the weight loss stalled, I started researching about diet and ways to bust through sticking points and plateaus and all of that. I stumbled on some resources online. There was something I stumbled on called intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet. So I came across these resources online and I decided to implement. It was rough in the beginning, but you kind of get used to it. And I was so fired up from the progress I had seen prior that it was just so easy for me to stick to. So I created a schedule for myself based on the resources I saw online. Some of my go-to meals then were like hard-boiled eggs, avocado, full-fat Greek yogurt, all sorts of meats, fish, and I would occasionally snack on things like peanuts and almonds and the occasional salads and soups here and there. So the ketogenic diet really helped at that point. It was I would almost call it revolutionary because it made slicing off that last 30 pounds of body fat an absolute breeze. My appetite was completely destroyed. Anybody who has tried the ketogenic diet before knows about the concept of ketosis. So my appetite was so suppressed, I had no desire to eat. I found myself fasting for days on end sometimes because I just didn't feel like eating. So that was how I got rid of the last 30 pounds, basically. I wouldn't say I advise the ketogenic diet for people now because I don't think it's the best diet for overall wellness in a sense with regards to building muscle and looking your very best, just because it's a bit too restrictive for many people to stick to. So I wouldn't say I recommend it as a permanent weight loss solution now that I'm very savvy about diet and how to lose weight and all of that. So I wouldn't say it should be your go-to for fat loss because it's difficult to stick to in the long term. And coming off the ketogenic diet, you would have to implement certain escape strategies to prevent rebound weight gain, because rebound weight gain is something that it's recurring in the ketogenic diet community if you actually follow it. So moving from there, I was able to get down to my lowest weight. I remember seeing on the scale, I was probably about 169 pounds at my lowest. You can see a picture right here. I'll put a picture right here. Everyone began to basically complain about how skinny I got. You see the irony? At one point, everybody was complaining about how big I was, and now how skinny I am. And so I eventually decided to terminate the diet and focus on other things like muscle building, putting on some mass on my frame, and basically bettering my physique overall, and not just focusing primarily on weight loss. Life took a drastic turn when I finally decided to put the fork down and be disciplined, and I decided to lose the weight. I could now walk up a flight of stairs without being out of breath. I completely stopped snoring at night. Basically, that just went away like that. My clothes started fitting better. My skin health drastically improved. For the first time in my adult life, I would walk into a room and actually get choosing signals for girls. I would say that was probably the most foreign thing. It was something that I actually had to get used to, because it was, previously I'll have weird looks, but now I actually had looks of, ooh, like he looks good, So that was very different as well. But most importantly, I learned I learned that there's a different life waiting for you after weight loss, and I earned the respect of my family, my friends, and people around me, people who knew me when I was at my very worst, and people who saw me and witnessed the transformation that I went through mentally and physically. All of a sudden, anyone who knew what I had gone through would now come to me for weight loss advice and, be seeking my second opinion with regards to what they are doing or what they want to do with regards to their wellness. It was an incredibly rewarding feeling. Probably one of the most difficult things I've done, but at the same time, one of the most rewarding endeavors I've ever embarked on up to date. So, losing weight, I would say, completely changed my life. It opened my eyes to the fact that there's a different life basically waiting for you out there if you decide to just get that tunnel vision, narrow in on your goal, block out all the noise and all the distraction, and take your mind and your body to a place that you didn't think it could go before. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to get alerts anytime we drop new content. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.